You know what's funny? We spend so much time trying to hold on to be the one they choose, to be the one they stay for, to prove we're worth it. But what if I told you that letting go, that brave, terrifying, powerful act of walking away, can be the very thing that makes someone feel your value more than anything else ever could? When a woman chooses to let go of someone who isn't meeting her needs, it's not just a breakup, it's a bold declaration of self-worth. Most people think love is about holding on, fighting harder, doing more, proving more. But the truth is, one of the most powerful messages a woman can send is, I'm not afraid to lose you if it means finding myself again. That isn't cold. That's courageous. Because letting go isn't just walking away from someone, it's walking back toward your own value. Men aren't drawn to desperation. They're not pulled in by someone who is willing to stay at any cost. They fall deeper, harder, for the woman who has the strength to walk when her needs aren't being met. It's not because they enjoy the chase or want what they can't have, it's because self-worth is magnetic. When a woman says, "This is my line, and I won't cross it just to keep you," it forces a man to see her not as someone begging for scraps of attention, but as someone who knows she deserves a feast of love, consistency, and respect. And here's what most people miss. Letting go doesn't mean she stopped caring. It often means she cared deeply, so deeply that she realized staying in something half-hearted would only drain both people in the end. She realizes that by holding on to a one-sided connection, she is saying yes to less, and that is no longer acceptable. So she releases the situation not to hurt him, not to make him chase, but because she refuses to abandon herself in the process of loving someone else. This shift creates a powerful dynamic. Men notice when a woman removes herself with dignity. It's in the silence after her absence that he begins to hear the loudest message. She loved herself more. That realization hits different. It causes him to reflect on what he lost, what he didn't appreciate, and what he may never find again. It's in this space that respect grows, not because she forced it, but because she embodied it. And that is what changes everything. Letting go becomes a mirror. It reflects everything he didn't offer, everything she tolerated for too long, and everything she chose to walk away from with grace. It flips the dynamic, from the woman proving her worth to the man confronting what he failed to value. That's not manipulation, it's clarity. It's her reclaiming her standards, not begging him to meet them. Most people think the strongest love is the one that never lets go. But strength is often found in release. When a woman stops chasing potential and starts honoring reality, her energy shifts. She is no longer trying to convince someone to love her. She's standing in the truth that love, real love, doesn't require suffering. And the man who truly sees her, who recognizes her worth in her absence, is the one who will finally understand what he had when she was still there. Scarcity creates value. It's a concept that applies in every area of life, but nowhere is it more potent than in relationships. When someone is always available, always waiting, always saying yes even to things that hurt, they risk becoming invisible. But when a woman decides to step back, when she removes herself from a space where she isn't being valued, something shifts. Her presence, once taken for granted, suddenly becomes noticeable by its absence. That's when a man starts to feel her value, not when she was always there, but when she no longer is. We often think love grows through constant connection, through showing up no matter what. But sometimes love deepens in distance. When you're always present, your value becomes background noise. It's only when you're no longer responding, no longer chasing, no longer saying, "It's okay," that someone begins to understand what they had. That's when the energy changes. That's when appreciation starts to rise. Because scarcity doesn't mean playing games or being manipulative, it means understanding that your time, energy, and love are not infinite resources. They are precious, and they should be treated that way. For many men, it's not until a woman walks away that they begin to calculate what she brought into their lives. Her consistency, her kindness, her presence, things they may not have consciously acknowledged before, suddenly feel rare, irreplaceable. It's human nature to assign value based on what feels scarce. And when a woman steps away with calm confidence, when she no longer offers herself on a silver platter, the man is forced to face a new reality. She's not his by default anymore. She's not waiting. She's not hoping. She's moving. That's a powerful wake-up call, because it's easy to dismiss what's always around. It's easy to assume that someone who loves you will continue to love you, even in the absence of effort. But when that assumption is shattered, when a man realizes she has boundaries, that her love has limits, that's when the truth hits hardest. He starts to replay the conversations he didn't listen to. He remembers the small acts of care he didn't appreciate. He notices the silence where her support used to be, and all of it starts to feel more valuable than it ever did before. Scarcity reminds someone that something isn't guaranteed, that love isn't owed, that attention and affection aren't rights, they are privileges. And the woman who walks away isn't being cruel, she's being clear. Clear about the fact that she won't spend her time where she's not respected. Clear that she's not afraid to be alone if it means protecting her peace. And that clarity increases her value, not just in his eyes, but in her own. A man might not understand what he had while it's right in front of him, but when it's gone, when she's no longer available to fix, to explain, to try, he sees it differently. He starts to grasp the weight of her love. He begins to realize how rare it was, and that rarity makes it priceless. Detachment is more powerful than persuasion. We often think the way to win someone's heart is by convincing them, by showing them how much we care, how loyal we are, how much we're willing to fight. But the truth is, when love becomes a campaign of persuasion, it loses its magic. There's nothing attractive about having to prove your worth to someone who doesn't already see it. And yet, many women fall into this trap, trying harder, staying longer, giving more, hoping that one day he'll finally realize what he has. But real power comes not in the convincing, but in the calm release. When a woman stops trying to persuade someone to love her, and instead becomes emotionally detached from needing their validation, everything changes. That detachment isn't coldness, it's strength. It's saying, I know who I am, I know what I offer, and if you can't see it, I won't waste my breath trying to convince you. That kind of energy doesn't chase, it doesn't plead. It simply exits with grace, and that's what often creates the deepest impact. Men are far more perceptive than we give them credit for. They can feel the shift in energy the moment a woman stops trying to win them over. When her energy pulls back, when she becomes less emotionally available, it creates a void that forces a man to reflect. He begins to question what's changed, what he's losing, and what he may have taken for granted. It's in that gap that realization begins to grow, not because she screamed or demanded it, but because she allowed silence to do the talking. Detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means not depending. It's the subtle but powerful difference between loving someone and needing them to complete you. When a woman operates from a place of detachment, her love becomes a gift, not a transaction. She no longer gives with the hidden hope of receiving more back. She gives because she chooses to, not because she has to. And when that love is withdrawn, It's felt deeply, because it wasn't needy or desperate, it was whole. This energy is magnetic. It's the same reason people are drawn to confidence and repelled by desperation. When you're trying to persuade someone, your energy says, "You have something I need in order to feel whole." But when you're detached, your energy says, "I am whole with or without you." That shift is everything. It moves the dynamic from you chasing them to them reflecting on what they might lose. The truth is, people don't respond well to pressure, but they respond to loss. They respond to realization. They respond to a change in emotional presence that makes them stop and think. And it's in that pause, after the persuasion stops and the detachment begins, that a man starts to see a woman's value in a way he couldn't before. Not because she tried harder, but because she finally stopped trying at all. Boundaries build attraction. In a world where so many people fear losing love, the act of setting a clear boundary is bold, rare, and incredibly magnetic. When a woman knows her standards and has the courage to uphold them, she communicates something far more powerful than charm, beauty, or chemistry. She communicates self-respect. And that self-respect is the foundation of lasting attraction. It tells a man without words, "I know my worth, and I won't bend just to keep someone around." Many women are taught to be accommodating, agreeable, easygoing, to avoid conflict in order to keep the peace or preserve the relationship. But constantly compromising what you truly want to maintain a connection doesn't create closeness. It creates resentment. And more importantly, it sends a message that your needs are negotiable. A man might not consciously notice it at first, but over time, something starts to shift. The respect begins to fade, the effort drops, the attraction cools, because deep down, what makes a man step up is knowing that you won't accept less than you deserve. When a woman says, "No, this doesn't work for me," she isn't creating distance, she's creating clarity. She's drawing a line that defines what she will and will not accept. And that clarity gives a man the opportunity to rise. It invites him into a deeper kind of connection, one where love is built on mutual respect. Not on one person constantly giving while the other takes. That invitation is where real attraction begins to grow. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to forget because you carry yourself with integrity. Boundaries aren't walls. They don't shut people out, they guide them in. They show someone how to treat you. They teach others what's acceptable and what's not. And when a man sees that you enforce your boundaries, even if it risks upsetting him, it triggers something deep, admiration. Because it takes strength to risk loss in the name of self-respect. It takes strength to walk away from someone who won't meet your standards, even if you care about them deeply. That strength is what makes you unforgettable. A woman who enforces her boundaries challenges a man to step into a higher version of himself. She doesn't beg for consistency, she expects it. She doesn't ask for clarity, she requires it. And when a man sees that she means what she says, when he knows there are real consequences to disrespect or neglect, he begins to value what he has. He starts showing up differently, not out of fear, but out of genuine desire to keep someone he knows isn't afraid to walk if she isn't treated right. There's nothing more attractive than someone who values themselves. A woman with boundaries isn't asking for permission to be treated well. She's commanding it with her presence, her standards, and her quiet refusal to settle for anything less. Absence triggers reflection. There's something profoundly powerful about a woman who knows when to walk away, not out of anger, but from a place of quiet strength. When she removes herself from a relationship that no longer honors her worth, she doesn't need to say much. Her absence does the talking. Her silence creates a space that no text message, argument, or explanation could ever match. And in that space, a man begins to feel things he may have ignored, avoided, or dismissed when she was still there. When someone is constantly present, constantly giving, constantly available, it's easy to become numb to their value. Familiarity breeds comfort, and sometimes that comfort turns into complacency. A man might think she'll always be there, always answer, always stay even when she's unhappy. But when she stops responding, when her energy fades from his life, that's when he feels the void. The absence becomes louder than all the words she used to speak. He starts noticing what's no longer there: her warmth, her laughter, her support, her attention. These were once background noise, now they're deafening in their silence. Reflection doesn't happen in noise. It happens in stillness. It's only when the daily contact is gone, when the conversations stop, when the affection is no longer on demand, that the mind begins to process what the heart has lost. A man who may have once taken her for granted now finds himself reevaluating everything. He starts asking himself questions he never asked before. Did he do enough? Was he present? Did he appreciate her? Why didn't he notice what she needed? And most importantly, why does it hurt so much now? That pain is often the first time he truly connects with the depth of what he had. Not because she shouted it, begged for it, or explained it one more time, but because she took herself out of the equation. That's when he starts to see her through a different lens, not just as the woman who loved him, but as the woman who had the strength to leave when she was no longer being loved the way she deserved. That kind of realization sticks. It leaves an imprint. It rewrites the way he sees her, and it stirs something inside him he may not have even known was there. Absence has the power to rearrange a man's priorities. It shakes up the comfort zone. It forces growth. And in many cases, it's the only thing that truly wakes someone up. While she was there, he could postpone effort, delay commitment, ignore her needs. But once she's gone, there's no more delay. There's only the echo of everything she used to bring into his life, and the uncomfortable truth that he may never experience that again. The woman who walks away with grace doesn't do it to prove a point. She does it because she refuses to stay where she isn't fully seen. And that absence, far from being empty, becomes the most powerful mirror he's ever faced. Confidence in letting go creates emotional gravity. There's a unique kind of power in a woman who chooses to walk away. Not with drama, not with bitterness, but with peace. When she lets go without needing to explain herself, when she releases the relationship without chasing closure or validation, she sends a message that is both subtle and unforgettable. I trust my worth more than I fear your absence. That kind of confidence leaves a mark. It doesn't just make a man think twice. It draws him in with a depth that desperation never could. We often associate power in relationships with who can hold on the longest or who fights the hardest. But real strength lies in the ability to walk away when staying would mean compromising who you are. A woman who carries herself with grace in that moment of departure shows that she doesn't need someone to complete her. She chooses connection, but she doesn't depend on it. And that distinction creates an emotional pull that lingers long after she's gone. When a man sees a woman detach not because she stopped caring, but because she started honoring herself, it triggers a deep emotional response. It's not the loss alone that affects him. It's the way she left, without guilt, without fear, without making him the villain. She simply chose peace over confusion, clarity over mixed signals, and self-respect over temporary attention. That calm confidence is rare, and anything rare instantly becomes valuable. Men are not wired to respond to pressure or pleading, but they are wired to respond to contrast. And nothing creates contrast more clearly than a woman who used to give her heart fully now choosing to protect it. Her absence becomes more than silence, it becomes a statement, and it pulls him into reflection, into curiosity, into desire, because now he's no longer sure he has access to her. He's no longer sure she'll pick up the phone or reply to his message. And in that uncertainty, attraction starts to reawaken. Emotional gravity isn't about making someone feel guilty for losing you. It's about leaving in a way that reminds them why they were drawn to you in the first place. It's about showing them through your actions that your love was a gift, not an obligation. And the moment you remove that gift, the weight of its absence becomes undeniable. Suddenly, all the effort she gave, the presence she offered, and the consistency she brought into his life are viewed through a new lens, one shaped by distance, not familiarity. Confidence in letting go doesn't mean she didn't struggle. It means she overcame the struggle in silence and chose herself. It means she didn't wait for closure, because she realized her peace was more important than someone else's permission to move on. That quiet decision echoes louder than any goodbye ever could, and long after the moment has passed, long after the door has closed, the emotional gravity of her exit continues to pull at him, reminding him that he had something rare, and that he may never feel that way again.